The first time I saw her, she was on her knees, bloodied, shackled, and surrounded by warriors ready to end her life. We were deep in the borderlands of Virion 4, a planet split between contested zones of the Human Confederation and the Zalari Empire. Peace talks had just begun after nearly a decade of interstellar warfare, and this neutral zone, the Red Ridge Plains, was meant to serve as a meeting point. But peace is a fragile illusion. I, Captain Elias Grant of the 82nd Human Vanguard, knew that better than most. And that day I saw that illusion break. She was Zalari, a lithe, silver-skinned alien with bright violet eyes and intricate tattoos that shimmered with embedded bioluminescence. She knelt before a tribunal of human officers who'd seized her convoy for allegedly breaching the ceasefire. But what they didn't know, or refused to accept, was that she was a diplomatic envoy. A child, barely into her third decade by Zalari standards. Not a soldier. Not a spy. Just a girl sent to bridge centuries of hatred between our species. And now they were going to execute her. I pushed through the crowd of soldiers gathered in a rough circle around her. The air crackled with the hum of energy weapons, the tension palpable. Captain Grant, one of the lieutenants, greeted me. Good timing. You'll want to see this justice served. Justice? I asked, looking at the girl. She couldn't have been older than 20 by our standards. Her lower lip was split, eyes swollen, a nasty bruise forming across her jaw. Her cloak, once ceremonial and flowing, was torn to rags. But she knelt upright, defiant, head held high despite her trembling limbs. She crossed the line, disguised herself as a courier, probably spying. We caught her with encoded data crystals. I held up a hand. Those crystals were part of her diplomatic credentials. I've seen the encryption. The peace delegation sent her. Propaganda. No. Truth. The tribunal didn't care. Their minds were made up. I could see it in their eyes. Battle-hardened, scarred by years of fighting Zalari forces. To them she was the enemy. Not a symbol of reconciliation. Just another target. The senior officer stepped forward, voice loud for the crowd. Execution by firing squad. Let it be known the Confederation tolerates no deceit, even under flags of peace. My heart dropped. She turned toward me, our eyes locking for a moment. Something in her gaze, fear, yes, but also a desperate plea, made my breath catch. It was a silent scream. Help me. And then the signal was given. 5 soldiers raised archaic railbows, a ceremonial form of punishment for high crimes. Plasma-tipped arrows, cruelly slow, designed to prolong the agony. A relic of war, preserved out of twisted tradition. I didn't think. Moved. My boots pounded the cracked red earth as I sprinted into the circle. Shouts erupted. I reached her just as the soldiers loosed their shots, and I threw myself in front of her. Pain, white-hot and all-consuming, erupted through my chest, my side, my leg. Arrows pierced flesh and armor alike. I collapsed, blood gushing onto the ground. But I stayed conscious long enough to see the arrows miss her, to see her still breathing. And then darkness took me. I woke up 3 days later in a field medic tent, the sterile tang of antiseptics mingling with the ache in my limbs. My chest burned. My leg was in a stasis cast. And a quiet beeping told me my vitals were barely stable. She was sitting beside me. The alien girl. Her face was still bruised, but healing. She wore clean robes now, though they were still Zalari. She blinked slowly, watching me as if I were a creature she didn't understand. "Why?" she asked, her voice soft, lyrical. "Why did you take the arrows?" I swallowed. Speaking hurt, but I managed. "Because you didn't deserve to die." Her fingers clenched around a small trinket, an amulet of some kind, shaped like a crescent moon. They were going to kill me. I know. You are their hero now, she said, though her tone was bitter. But also a traitor to them. Some call it betrayal. They can call it what they want, I muttered. I did what was right. Silence stretched between us. Then she spoke. I am Nixtalari, daughter of House Veari, the envoy of peace. Elias Grant, I replied, trying to smile through the pain. Captain of humans. Idiot who jumped in front of arrows. A faint laugh escaped her. It was the first warmth I'd seen on her face. The weeks that followed were turbulent. My actions sparked outrage from some, admiration from others. News of what I'd done reached both the Confederation and the Zalari courts. I was ordered to return to Earth. Instead, I remained in the borderlands. With her. Nixtalari was now under my protection, officially. That much I insisted on. She was assigned to my care while negotiations resumed. I'd expected hostility from my own, but surprisingly, my squad accepted her. Perhaps out of guilt, perhaps out of curiosity. She and I grew close. She wasn't what I'd expected from an alien princess. She was sarcastic, quick-witted, and devastatingly intelligent. She spent hours in our command tent, poring over human history, laughing at our ancient myths, challenging my views with questions that left me speechless. And at night we'd talk. About war. About what we'd lost. About who we wanted to become. But peace has enemies. 1 month after the attack, a radical faction of the Zalari Empire launched a strike against our base. They claimed Nixtalari had been corrupted by humanity. That her death would be a holy cleansing. The base went on high alert. I got her to the bunker just in time before the plasma barrages began. But one thing became clear, she was the target. Again. The strike wasn't about territory. It was about killing her. We escaped the base in a transport skimmer, barely evading the bombardment. I had one mission now. Get her to the capital where the Confederation Council could ensure her safety. We traveled for 3 days through ravaged territory, dodging scouts, hiding beneath thermal cloaks, surviving on ration packs and sheer will. On the 4th day they caught up to us. We were ambushed in a canyon. Zalari hunters, 10 of them, cloaked and armed with traditional blades that shimmered like obsidian fire. Nyx recognized them immediately. They're inquisitors, she whispered, terror in her voice. They were once my protectors. Now they wanted her dead. I stood between her and them, just as I had before. But this time I was barely recovered. My legs still dragged. My chest still flared with each breath. They offered me a choice. Step aside, human. She's not your kind. She never will be. I looked at her, her trembling shoulders, her fierce, furious eyes. And I stepped forward instead. The fight was brutal. I killed 3 before one of them sliced through my side. Nyx, to my shock, fought too, using a pulse dagger from my belt, driving it through the armor of one of the attackers. We were outnumbered. I was losing blood. But just as the last blade was raised to end us both, a human shuttle descended like a wrathful comet, weapons blazing. My squad, my people had found us. The attackers fled. We survived. 2 weeks later, peace was formally signed. The images of me and Nyx, wounded, scarred, standing side by side, were broadcast across both empires. They called us symbols, martyrs, heroes. But I didn't care about titles. I only cared about her.